Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talk to Experts Tuesday. We are so excited to have all of you here with us today. My name is Jamie Gregory, and I will be your moderator for this session. This webinar series is designed to give all of you an hour with a few of our product experts. You can use this time to ask them questions, and it also gives you an opportunity to get to know us. So we do have a few housekeeping items for today. Everyone is on mute, so please use the Q&A panel to ask your questions. We will not necessarily be using the panel to respond to your questions, as we are going to try to get to everyone's questions live today. If you have time to get your question answered and then you have to leave, that's fine. You should receive a prompt for a survey. It takes less than a minute. Please fill it out and give us feedback on how we can improve these sessions for you or another topic you would like to see in the future. The subject does not need to be an overall product. It can be specific. We've had some really great suggestions these past few sessions, like security rules in Qlik Sense, using multiple Qlik products together, sessions on Qlik Replicate, maybe dynamic views, mashups. The sky really is the limit. And we want to make sure that we're allowing all of you the opportunity to ask the questions you need answers to. So all feedback is appreciated. If you do not receive a prompt for the survey, you can email us any feedback at digital@qlik.com, and I'll put that email in the chat in just a little bit here. And if you think of a topic later, you can also use that email address to email us. And also for today, we are doing a raffle for some Qlik swag. So you will be automatically entered into the raffle by filling out that survey. All right, so today's topic is Qlik Sense Mobile, and we have all the experts here that you could want for that topic. So go ahead and get your questions in using the Q&A panel below, and while we wait for your questions, we'll go ahead and introduce the panel for today. So I have Qlik Zaniolo, Director of Product Management, Johan Inel, Architect, Chuck Bannon, Director of the Demo Team, and Vittori, I'm going to say his last name wrong. I already know that it's wrong. Salucci, Senior Software Engineer. I'll let him tell you his last name. All right, Qlik, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Oh, thank you, Jamie. Yeah, so my name is Qlik Zaniolo. I am Director of Product Management, responsible for mobility at Qlik, so responsible for all our mobile clients, as well as alerting, so the alerting capabilities that we have within products. I think over to you, Johan.
Yes, hello, my name is Johan, and I'm the architect for Qlik Sense Mobile. I've been working on our mobile solutions for close to 8 years now, both in QlikView and in Qlik Sense Web.
Great, thank you, Johan. Johan is also on vacation, so a huge thank you to Johan for joining us today. So make sure you get all of your questions in so that he did not waste his time joining us today. All right, and then Chuck.
Yes, Chuck Bannon. I'm the director of the demo team. Our job around Qlik is to showcase every part of the platform, and you can find our work on demos.qlik.com.
Oh, perfect. We'll have to share that in the chat. That's great. And Vittorio, and I believe it's Chalucci, but you can go ahead and tell everyone.
Yeah, that was correct.
I got it the second time.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Vittorio Qlik. I'm a software developer for the mobile platform, and I've been working at Qlik for 3 years, and most of my time has been on the mobile app.
Great. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Let's go ahead and just jump right into the questions. So the first question that we have is, what is the difference between the Qlik Sense SaaS app and the Qlik Sense client managed app?
Okay, I think I can take this one, Jamie. Well, the name gives you a very big hint of what the difference is. So one of the apps is actually created to be able to handle all the backend that we have on client managed. And then when we say client managed, that means the Windows, Qlik Sense on Windows, the one that our clients, our customers manage themselves. So that application is the one that we have and it's been around for a while now. That people can use and integrate, make that app talk to your on-premise environment. And then the new application that we released in May is the Qlik Sense application for SaaS. So because of the services behind the two different products that we have offer, and depending on the deployment that you have, they're very different. So we have now a different application for SaaS. So the application for SaaS was released in May, and it has connectivity to subscriptions of ClickSense Cloud.
Perfect. Thank you, Qlik. Going along with that, is there a QlikView app?
There is a QlikView app as well, and then they're all available in the App Store. So basically, you go there and you search for Qlik, you can see all the different apps that we have. So there is a separate application for QlikView applications for on-premise.
Perfect. All right. Do you have any clients in the healthcare space using mobile? And can you speak to how you manage their security, specifically if a client is using your on-prem service?
Oh, yeah. So the mobile application actually is used in its majority by healthcare customers, actually. We have big companies using our mobile app. So for on-premise environments, what usually happens is the ClickSense application for client managed, which is the on-premise one, does have integration with enterprise management, mobility management platforms. So those are called EMM or MDM platforms. Basically, those platforms can allow your connection to be secure between the mobile app and your on-premise environment. Basically, you connect that using one of those platforms. You put all the rules and all the security standards that you have in order to be able to tap into the server, and then all the connections are going to be secure. And very high level from a product management side. I don't know, Johan, if you want to add to that on a more technical side on how that could be implemented.
Yeah, so as you said, we rely very much on the MDM solutions. They will provide the security for us and also provide, in some instances, the encryption, enhanced encryption if required. So it's better to leave it to third party to handle that first.
Okay, perfect. And they have a follow-up question to that. What about with use of a VPN?
Well, it's fully supported. So if your environment is actually behind a VPN, what needs to happen is your device needs to be connected to the same network. So basically, you connect your device to the VPN, and then once you're in the same network, you can access things. So I'll give you one example. Our internal servers, on-premise servers, are behind a VPN. If I need to connect to one of them, I need to log in my device to the company VPN, and then I can access everything.
Perfect. Let's see, the next question. Is there any list of best practices, tips, and tricks for designing Qlik apps specifically for mobile devices?
Oh, we have the right person here on the call, actually. So I'll let Chuck talk about this, but I'm going to post a very nice blog post that he did about this on the chat here as well. Chuck.
It's funny you bring that up, because that was going to be part of my response. Is that back when mobile for SaaS was released, I wrote a blog about designing for SaaS mobile, and just some ideas and tips and tricks that you may want to think about as you're designing your application, given that it may be consumed on a mobile device. You know, just off the top of my head, a couple of the things that you want to look at, right? So for instance, we allow you in your sheet view, your sheets to either have a list view or a grid view, right? So if you went with the list view, that lines all your objects up on top of each other and shows them one by one. Whereas if you go with the grid view, it shows the layout of the dashboard, so to speak, as you designed it. Now, there's some good and bad with that, right? Because on a mobile device, your real estate is pretty limited. So as you're building out your dashboards, you really want to include, you know, just the most important pieces of information, KPIs, and or or charts, you don't want to crowd it up too much and not be able to see everything in context. So, that would be one piece that I would add, and as it's being shown here on the screen, other tips that I've thrown out there for developing as well. So.
I just want to add a technical thing with the grid view as well. So it goes hand in hand with what you said. You don't want to clutter the grid with too many visualizations. It's also with too many visualizations, it will start consuming a lot of memory on the device. So if you have too many visualizations, it will be visually slow.
Perfect. That was great. And she says, cool that she's working on a blog post too, and that she's going to reach out. You can always comment on the blog post with any questions that you might have, and I'm sure Chuck will be watching for them. So that's a good way to kind of communicate with some of the internal people here, is if they have any posts out there, any blogs or anything, you can always comment on them and get a response directly from them. And the cool thing about the community is that our other users will probably hop on into the conversation as well. So you can kind of get perspective from not only our experts here, but then other people that are using the product as well. Okay, perfect. Great questions, everyone. Again, use the Q&A panel to get your questions in. I did say that I would put that email address out in the chat, so I'm going to do that right now. So this is a digital@qlik.com email address. If you have anything that you would like to suggest or on how we can improve these sessions, you can feel free to email digital@qlik.com. And let's get back to the questions. All right. So when I try to log in on the server with my user account, I always get the error message, the session has expired. Tap here to log back into the Qlik Sense server. Do you have any suggestions on how maybe to fix this issue?
So I'll take a stab at that. So basically the authentication will happen there, and I'm assuming this is on the new SaaS application. The authentication will be actually dictated by your IDP, your identity provider. So when that happens, so if you're getting, for example, like too often you're getting like a prompt for authentication or something like this, it could be in the case of your identity provider is actually set to ask you a lot of times. So we don't do the authentication ourselves. So of course we offer with SaaS, we offer a identity provider ourselves called Qlik ID. But if everything is correctly done there in the settings of your environment, you should not be prompted if you're actively coming to the platform and you only get a prompt for authentication after 30 days of not using the platform, or your credentials, like your password expired or something like this. So that covers at least the SaaS part. While I was actually answering this, I was thinking about the question, and I think I got it wrong, because it's asking about the server side, so like connection to the server. So I think this is actually could be related to client managed as well. So Jamie, can I ask you a favor to repeat that question, please?
Yeah,
I think I'll probably need your help there.
When I try to log in on the server with my user account, I always get this error message: the session has expired. Tap here to log back into the Qlik Sense server. Do you have any suggestions on how to fix this?
So I'm looking at the question that he has written here. So the session has expired. Its main purpose is to catch when your Qlik session has expired. Obviously, that's the name of the error. But there are instances where we are unable to authenticate at all. Some of the requests are failing, and it's getting caught and by our system, and it's interpreted as a session has expired. So when I'm looking at the screen dump that he has provided here, there's a lot of thumbnails in his hub that he failed to download. So my suspicion here is that it's not that the session has expired, it's actually that there is a problem downloading these resources, the thumbnail images, for some reason, depending on where we are directed to fetch these images. So it could be a certificate error. The SSL certificate is invalid for some reason, and then you're failing to download the thumbnail. So to really understand this specific issue, I would need to look at the logs to see the error messages and see what's leading up to the error, particularly in this case. And then there are other problems where session has expired as well, where we get that error. It's not for this because it looks different, but the first time, if you just added your account to Qlik Mobile and you try to log in for the first time and you fail, we will also respond with a similar type of error. And we will also say that you need to be logged in once before you use Qlik Mobile in offline, something like that. We add to it. And that's because we have if you fail to communicate, we assume that you want to use your Qlik Mobile in an offline version, offline mode. But since you haven't logged in at all, you haven't successfully logged in at all, we will immediately fail. So that is usually an authentication error that is causing it.
Perfect. That makes sense. Thank you, Johan, and thank you, Qlik. It's always good to hear kind of like both apps, how those errors can come into play. Johan, I do have a follow-up question, and this is just where can users find the logs for mobile?
Yes, so the logs are within the application. So if you have your application running, you can open your setting page, and in the settings page there is a button that says email the logs.
Okay.
And that will provide you basically a zip file, and then make sure that that file is emailed to support, and then it will trickle down to us, and then we can start looking at it.
Perfect. That was great. Thank you.
And of course, just one extra thing. Before you do that, make sure that there is a switch that says enable detail logs. And when you know that you want to send an error for a specific error, it's always good to just make sure that that is enabled before, and then you recreate the issue, and then we'll get most information on it.
Perfect. Great. Thank you, Johan. Hopefully that helps. And that's a good tip if you ever have to report an issue to support or something like that. Knowing where the logs are is always really helpful because they'll more than likely ask for log files. So thank you, Johan. All right. Next question. Are there any ways or feature plans to use a virtualized instance of a mobile app, i.e. on a Windows client, to simulate how a QlikSense app will appear without using an iOS Android device?
Okay, so talking about a simulation of the rendering of the application itself. Okay, so not currently, we don't have any kind of like near future plans for adding something like this. Well, what we do have is actually the opposite of what this person is asking. The ability to start designing, customizing your mobile sheets within the mobile app itself. So basically, instead of using your on-premise, sorry, not on-premise, your browser environment to be able to do this, or client to do this, you would do this from the device itself and then publish that for other users for consumption later. We find that this is actually a very easy way to make sure your arrangement of charts is good. It will render nicely on the device without having to simulate like the question was referring to. So that's the direction that we have. If you think this is not good or you don't agree with this, I would love to hear from you on that. So we do have an ideation area and community that we monitor all the time. So please post the ideas like this or anything that you think it's important, so we can actually see this there as well, and we can, we're going to use that feedback in the prioritization of things that we do.
I also have something to add for that. In the meantime, you could also, if you have access to developer mode in your web browser, you can simulate the view screens for certain devices as well. It's not ideal, but it gets the job done, and you can have 2 tabs open. So while you're editing your sheet, the other one should update live.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. So here is the ideation page. I did put the link in the chat for everybody. But you can go in here and, like Kaiki said, the first thing that you want to do is you want to search to see if the idea is already there. And then if the idea is not there, you can go ahead and go to suggest an idea and put your idea in, and Kaiki looks at it very frequently. And so he'll reach back out with any plans or anything like that. To get some traction on it, if this is something that you really think should be in the product and that would be beneficial to other users as well, just try sharing your idea. Anyone that enters in an idea does have to be a customer partner or luminary. They do have to have an account out here in the Qlik community. But if you think it's a great idea, share that idea and try to get some traction on it. All right. So the next question, is your best practice to develop apps only for mobile devices and other apps only for computers, or do you find another approach better?
So my approach is one, develop once for all, right? Because that's sort of how we promote Qlik. But as you're developing, right, you want to keep in mind if it's going to be consumed on mobile, right? So for instance, using list view, right? You'll see all your charts or visualizations render one after another, right? You swipe and you can see the next visualization. So just as you start developing these out, you understand you understand what to do and what not to do, right? So the first time around, when you're using a scatter plot and you see, hey, there's way too many, dots for the scatter plot to show anything on mobile. Maybe there's a different way to show that data, or you just don't include that chart into your development. Me personally, I wouldn't go ahead and develop a mobile app and a desktop app. I would just develop one app with both in mind. And you could, potentially if you're that adamant about it, you could have a set of sheets that are, desktop sheets, and then a couple sheets that are maybe better consumed on mobile, that, if you wanted to go that route, but definitely not 2 separate apps. I wouldn't recommend that, but I don't know if Kaike and the rest of the crew has anything different on that.
I think I would agree with that. If we would require you to do 2 separate apps, one for Windows and one for mobile, I think we have done a poorly job on creating this product. I hope Kaike agree with me there.
No, I do. Not only I do, but also the entire plan that we have moving forward is to make sure that this is less of a problem for you. So that we go back to something that you design once, and then you can consume that fairly well in mobile and smaller screen devices as well. We're always looking into possible ways of making this more of a like one shot approach, that you can do things and you can just leverage them the best way possible there, but also providing ways of customization. So if you're not happy with that, how can you do this, and how can you make sure that this is actually working for that use case on the smallest screen? Again, like ideation is a great place for you to make your voice heard there in terms of difficulties or ideas that you might have around this. We're always monitoring that.
Perfect. Thank you all. And then really quick, this is the demo site, correct, Chuck, that you're referring to earlier? So we'll put this
Correct.
link in the chat. Perfect. And you all can check it out and let Chuck know if you have any questions. Kidding. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Will the QlikSense app also run on the new M1 chip? We have a MacBook with the M1 chip, and several apps do not run on it with Docker, for example.
So and the M1 chip, so first of all, that chip is also going to come for iPads. So we will have to run, we need the QlikSense Mobile will run on M1 chips. But the question here is specifically on MacBooks. So now we're talking about having QlikSense Mobile running on laptops instead. And then it's not a question whether we run on M1 or not, it's how should QlikSense Mobile work on a laptop? And that's a much bigger thing to answer, and not something that we will just throw up because we can. If we want to have it on a MacBook, on a laptop, we need to think about how we want the users to use the application there.
Yeah, just important, I think, to clarify. So QlikSense Mobile, the applications that we have today, they work on mobile devices, meaning tablets and phones, both on iOS and Android. So those applications do not run on desktop. So a MacBook would be equivalent to a desktop for that scenario. So that's what Johan is saying. But the M1 is actually present in the new iPad Pro today. And you can get an iPad Pro with an M1. Well, you're going to be able to very soon to get one. And we do have plans to make sure that it works fairly well there. I happen to have a MacBook Pro with M1 right now, and I'm not having any issues using QlikSense today. So, but I understand that the question is about future. Definitely going to make sure that everything that we do will align with the new chips as well.
Perfect. Great. Thank you. I have a QlikSense on-premise environment, and I also have SaaS. Can I leverage the new mobile app for the existing QlikSense apps that I have?
Yeah, good question. So the answer is yes, most definitely you can. So what happens there, and remember in the beginning we said we have the client managed app, and then we have the QlikSense SaaS app. So depending on how you're hosting those apps, if you want to stay those apps, you want them to stay in client managed, you then are going to have to use a client managed app for that. But what can happen there is you can move your apps to SaaS. So basically you can use a distribution task at the end of your reloads on premise to publish your applications to SaaS. What you do then, you make sure your users are accessing through SaaS and not on premise anymore, and then they can connect using their credentials, same ones they use for the browser. They can use that on the mobile app. And then when they do this, they can leverage all the different things that we have for SaaS. For example, the QlikSense mobile application for SaaS has integration natively with alerting and notifications. So you can create things in terms of conditions to monitor your data and receive notifications when those are actually met, or the condition becomes true. You get a notification of the data notification. You can also do monitor charts. So you can actually have charts from multiple different applications, and they're going to appear on your mobile device, and you can see those charts there. And those things are only available because the back end of things, so alerting and monitor charts are features only available in SaaS. So that's a benefit, that if you start distributing your applications to SaaS, you start being able to leverage those things. So in our plans, and big legal disclaimer here now, things can change. But it's our intention to start delivering, for example, the new capabilities we have with Notes in SaaS to our mobile app as well, so you can start integrating your workflow with collaboration with other users within Notes in your mobile app as well. Yeah, it's a lot of excitement coming to that mobile app.
Thank you, Kaiki. All right, everyone, we're about halfway through. We only have a couple more questions in the pipeline. So don't forget, you all kind of run the show. So if you have any more questions, design related, feature related, what's coming or anything like that, make sure you use the Q&A panel to get your questions to our experts here. They're more than happy to help you answer those questions. All right, so let's go ahead and go forward. Can I use multi-factor authentication with the new QlikSense app for SaaS?
So short answer is yes, but that's going to rely on whatever identity provider you're using. But I'll let the experts actually talk about this. Johan and Vittorio, you guys want to cover this?
Yeah, well, it as precisely as you said. So we are in the new application. We are relying on identity providers. We are, by design, we don't want to handle authentication within the application. So all type of authentication, we are redirecting that to the identity provider of choice, and whatever MFA you have there will be forced for the users. And I mean, we are using it in our own test environments and test setups like this. So it works in that scenario.
Perfect. Is it the same for the client managed app?
Well, somewhat. No? I wouldn't say no. So we have done another technical choices in the new application, which allows us to do a lot more. On the on-premise, if you want to have multi-factor authentication, it would require a lot more work from you to get that. It's not something that will be enabled out of the box. There are ways to do it, of course, but it's not as easy.
You can achieve the same results, but not as easy. Yes.
Okay. So they would just work with you, Johan, if that was something that they wanted to do.
First support, then
First support, then Johan. All right, thank you. All right. How often do users need to authenticate to the app?
Yeah, I think this was kind of partially covered when I got that question wrong. So we don't require users to log in again. So and there are a couple of exceptions for that, right? So the first exception is user inactivity. So if you're not there, if you're not using the app after 30 days, we're going to say, I don't know who you are anymore, and give me your username and password, or go through your authentication process with MFA or whatever. So that's one case. The other case that we get a lot of like attempts to log in again, or the mobile app seems to be requesting you to log in again. And again, it's not the mobile app, it's actually your IDP that's making you authenticate over and over. Because what the mobile app does is just checks if we know you, if there's a token of authentication there that we know and we can trust. So that could be a problem if your IDP configuration is actually incomplete or partially configured, and that could be the case. And then the third exception there is within SaaS, for example, you can actually have somebody revoking your authentication. Let's say you lose your device or you misplace your device, and within that device, we have like sensitive data because it's your company data that you have there. In order for you to protect that the data on that application, you can go in and revoke the authentication. So anybody trying to open the app is going to be prompted for a password. So within that process, actually, we have a knowledge base article on community as well about all those things. I'm going to post that here on the chat as well right now. So that's one thing. So very often what I get when people start complaining to me, oh, I'm getting asked too many times to authenticate, is the number 2 exception that I mentioned, is the incomplete IDP configuration. And for that, we actually have, so at the bottom of that page, and I'm going to actually share this here as well, we have another knowledge base article about how to configure this correctly for Okta in specific. But the same setting that you do for Okta there is also available in different IDP providers as well. So basically, so in Okta there is a thing called refresh token. If you don't have that connected, you're going to have every single time you come to the app, Okta is going to say like, yeah, I told them to forget who you are. Pretty much is what Okta does. Okta tells us saying like, don't trust anybody because it's not configured to trust anybody. So you every time you come, you do this. I actually, one of our internal environments had this and it was driving me crazy until I figured that out. And then I asked the team to put that article out there because I said probably other people are having the same kind of issue that I'm having right now. So yeah, those two things are really interesting. And one thing about those knowledge-based articles is they're really good providing the information, and you can use them as well to navigate to other things. So there's always the related content portion at the bottom. So if you go to one of those, you're going to see a lot of other content related to the mobile app as well that you can explore.
Perfect. Thank you, Kaiki. All right, so that was the last question that we had. So I am going to go ahead and put it out there for a call for last questions. So use the Q&A panel below if you have any questions for our experts. Again, anything QlikSense mobile related. It could be design, architecture, features, anything like that. Go ahead and put your questions into the Q&A panel. And just really quick, I am going to show you where. So this session is recorded and everything gets posted out here on the community.qlik.com, and it goes into support, programs, and then Talk to Experts Tuesday. We're still working on getting some of our past events up, but you'll find the recording here. And then you can take a look and kind of go over anything that you may have missed. We have some people hopping on right now. So we are at the last call for questions. So if you have any questions for our panelists, our topic today is QlikSense Mobile. So let us know what questions you have using the Q&A panel. We'll give everyone. I am going to put some of the gentlemen here on the call on the spot a little bit and see if there's anything that they want to talk about, maybe show, demo, some of the latest features, or talk about what's to come or anything like that. Any takers? They're just staring at me, smiling.
I'm just checking actually to see if I can demo something. Yeah, if you give me like a few minutes, I think I can get something going here. Yeah.
Okay. No problem. There was a question that one of you all wanted to know and to ask all the attendees at the beginning of the session. Remember what it was?
I think it was Johan was curious.
Yes. So I'm really interested in the attendees and who you are and how you are using our application, how you are distributing it in your company, and I'm very curious about that.
Perfect. So if you have a response for Johan, you can go ahead and put it in the chat. You can just set it to the panelists, so we'll only be the ones to see it. That's fine. But just let us know, how you're using the app. That'd be great. That's the mobile app, not a QlikSense app.
We always mix those two. Confuses us. So.
Yeah. Too many apps. There's never enough apps. So again, Q&A panel. If you have any more questions for our experts while we wait for Kaiki, he's going to get something up and running to show us.
And I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. I'll go ahead and stop sharing.
Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen now and you can see ClickSense mobile.
Yes.
So I'm going to just run through a quick demo of the new ClickSense mobile app. So here I actually have already configured the URLs of my ClickSense subscriptions, but users can just come here to this green plus sign here at the bottom, and it's simply passing whatever is the URL you use to connect to SaaS, and you give a friendly name is how this is going to be known within the app. And once you add that, it populates this list. So you see that on this list here, and then you can go ahead and just and start using this. So I'm going to choose this first one here that I have. So first step here, this is going to tell me I have no idea who you are. So for this one here, I'm using actually Qlik ID as my IDP. You could use Okta, or you could use anything here for this one. And here you can see that bottom part of the screen here is actually my password manager that I have on my device, which has nothing to do with Qlik, but knows that I have a password that goes for this website. So if I tap this, this is going to just bring me that screen. It's going to use my Face ID to pass that password. And now it's just an easy way, instead of me knowing all the passwords I can type, I could use this. So now what you're seeing here right now is just we're introducing the idea of a mobile collection to the users. So we're just saying now, let's add content to your mobile collection. So here you see the recently updated content that you have available. And then from here, I can quickly come and say now, just pick the apps that I want on my mobile device. So what we did with SaaS was we wanted to have a way for the people not to have everything they have on their environment. Could be that you have hundreds of different apps inside of your subscription, ClickSense subscription, and you only need a few of those inside of the mobile app. So you can do this by just tapping here and then just adding those to the mobile collection. So I'm going to choose the ones that my friend Chuck did for us here. They're part of my mobile demo. And let's say that's it. So I just want those two. So, and I can see here I'm done. And now I'm taken to the hub where I can see those two apps and I can start navigating. Here on the top, you can also search for content. So if I'm here, I can come in here and say, oh, actually, I had another one that I wanted to see, but I forgot to add. So if I search for sales, you see here that I have one called Sales Management. I can just simply tap that there. Now this is part of my hub as well. So you can add that from that initial screen, but you can always search and find this content there. So here I'm going just to quickly tap this one that I just added there, and I'm going to take you to a dashboard. So basically, this is what Chuck was mentioning. There are two ways for you to do the rendering of the charts here. So this particular sheet here called margin analysis was designed for mobile. So this was designed in the grid view mode. So here I can actually have things side by side, and I can create this kind of a dashboard looking view for my application. What I did here was one that has the list view. So this is going to give me a list of all the different charts that I have within that sheet, but just create me a vertical list of content that I can access. So from here, users can do what? They can make selections. They can get any navigation or any data here, basically with this the application they have available with the charts and everything. So here, easy way to do this is I want to see those numbers changing based on a few selections. I can just swipe this up. I can park this here in the middle and say I want my category to be technology. So I tap that and I see the numbers changing. I can just swipe that down. I can continue my analysis. I can bring this all the way to the top if I need more space, and can say now, but I also want the region to be east and bring that down. Now I'm just narrowing down the possible things. I can see all the different things here changing, all the charts and everything that I have. So if I tap one of those charts, it takes me to that chart itself. So now I can just simply tap here and I can start making selections on that chart as well. So you have different ways of making selections. You can actually say, you know what, I'm actually interested here in the New England region. So I can just do like hold this over there, or just get a radius of that here, or you can actually use the lasso here to draw an area, and if you add something that you don't want there, you can just start removing those things. So now I have the New England region here. I can make my selection and say, yeah, that's what I'm focusing on right now. I can see this. And I have a couple of options on the top. So I can say, I want to share this. And when I say share, I'd say I'm going to share this with Johan and Vittorio right now. And I can just, this is a Slack integration that's going to send this message that whatever I type here, but it's going to attach that image to that Slack message that we have. So basically from this, you can actually have any different app or anything that you have installed on your phone to be a recipient of that image that we have with mobile. But you can also monitor this in your hub. So here, I'm just going to monitor this, and this is going to be monitor this chart. It's going to be margin per state. It's going to go to my personal space. This is now just creating that chart. It takes a few moments to do that. But when it completes, I can close everything here, go back to my hub, and now that chart is available for me on my hub. So every time I come to the application, I'm going to see the latest version of that chart. And you can see here, this was updated a few seconds ago. So when I reload this application, it's going to give me the new update for that. So basically here I can tap this and I can see the chart. I can see the history of that chart. That could be done also for different types of charts. So for example, here, if I search for sales, I know that I have a chart that I'm actually monitoring that is my KPI. So because this is a KPI chart, here you can see all the history of this, and you can see how this is actually behaving. You can see here when this was generated, what application actually has this chart. You can see the whole thing. So basically, you can create almost a dashboard looking experience here for all the different charts that you monitor. And remember, every time we reload the data, it's going to be a new version of that chart if the data changes. So that's how you use the app. We also have alerts available within this app, so you can come here and check all your different alerts, and you can see the alerts that you have and all the different executions of when we did we had the alert triggered, and you can come here and see all the different things that we have with that alert. And let's say that I see here that tables is something like one of my subcategories actually not performing. If I tap tables, that takes me to the application, apply the selection from my notification, and now I can see this. And it could be that you're doing this and you realize, oh, this is just too small. I can't see this. One thing that you can actually do here is, if you want to, you can open that application in your browser. So let's say I put my phone aside here, don't do anything, just come to my browser now. And I go there and I'm going to open that same application, but do that over here on my browser. So if I do this, when I open this application, I can go to that same dashboard sheet that I had. You're going to see that my selection for tables is applying, and I can continue the analysis. And now that chart that was too small for me to see, it's here. I can just do whatever I want to do with this app. But remember, this is responsive and this is good. So it doesn't mean that because it was like that you can see things. So you can do almost the same thing here. You can just start to zooming into that chart, so you can actually navigate. But there's this idea of anything that you do with the mobile app, you get a reflection there as well. As you can see here, if I put them side by side real quick, you're going to see that we have any selections that you make in one of them is applied to the other. So if I come here and say furniture, you see that everything changes. If I come here and clear the selection, you see everything changing on this one over here as well. So that's a quick demo of the mobile app. One thing that I forgot to mention is anything that you subscribe to, you're going to receive a push notification. So those notifications are available for you to manage when you are in your SaaS environment. You can come here to your preferences and you can say notifications, and then you can say whatever you want to be pushed to your device. You're going to receive a push notification, even if the QlikSense app is actually closed. Anything that you have a web notification is going to enter and be part of this. So a push notification could be a subset of that. So it could be the ones that you want to be alerted, even if your app is closed. And let's say you have a watch as well with your phone. So it could be an Apple Watch or an Android version of that. Then those notifications could be actually coming to that device as well. And yeah, so that's a very quick demo the mobile app.
Great. Thank you, Kaiki. That was fantastic. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that quick little demo from Kaiki. If you have any questions, go ahead and put them in the Q&A panel. Thank you to everyone that's responded to Johan's question about how you're using QlikSense Mobile. If there's anyone else that would like to respond, just put it in the chat for us, or if you want to email us to it's digital@qlik.com. Looking forward, our next session is on August 24th, and it is with Qlik Gold Client. So that is on the data integration side of the house. So hopefully you'll be able to join us for that. There is a QR code here that you can go ahead and scan using your mobile device and register for the session. All right. So if there aren't any other questions, I'm going to go ahead and end this session. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and especially thank you to Kaiki, Vittorio, Chuck, and Johan for being on the panel today. They all did a fantastic job. Do not forget that you have the opportunity to win some Qlik swag today by filling out that survey. You can also give any of these fine gentlemen a shout out for the great work that they did on today's session. They do get rewarded for that. So please fill out that survey, give them a shout out, and hopefully you'll win some Qlik swag today. So thank you once again, and we will see you all next month. Have a wonderful day. Bye all.
Bye-bye.